Well, welcome, folks. Welcome to my little porch at the homestead. This is my little porch out front of off the side of my sty shack. Um, I think you all know by now how much I love the outdoors, so it's not uncommon for me to sit out on my porch, no matter what the weather may be. My porch here, you can see there's kind of tarps on the walls. Those tarps come down in the spring. All summer there's no tarps on the porch at all, but I put them up in the winter just for a windbreak, keep the weather from hitting my door, of course. And you can see behind me and to the side, I'm sure, that's the beginning of a blizzard. We've got a winter storm warning until late tomorrow. They're talking 4 or more inches of snow, but with winds. So we're going to have some blizzard conditions here the next 24 hours or so. That's fine with me. That's why I got tarps around my porch, so I can sit out here and watch the weather go by. And I thought, well, here we go again. We got some nasty weather, so I'd do a quick sty story. This sty story is kind of an outdoor story, and kind of not, but it is relevant to those of us that love living a minimalist fashion. We love being in the outdoors. We like to rough it. We like to do things with a little less than your average person and get by on our own, and see how well we can do. Well, and as you all know, if you watch my other videos, I had moved my family to a cabin way up in the back country, and that story is about that cabin and us living in that cabin, and I'll get started. So here we are, we're living up at that cabin, and it's I believe it was October, and late October, and it was after the start of deer season, so I had taken a couple of deer, and I had one stretched out on a rack, on a stretcher that I was going to brain tan. So I was out there lacing that hide onto the rack, and now our cabin set up on the hill, and the road came in and down below the cabin and came up that steep hill right to the cabin. Well, once it snowed out, you're never getting up that hill to the cabin, but the driveway came right up. You could park just about to the cabin. And the road, most people didn't want to use it unless they were driving a pickup truck or some kind of SUV or something sturdy, you know. Well, I'm out there lacing that hide on, and then all of a sudden I see this little sky blue, stood out like a sore thumb, Honda Civic coming up. And it's coming up to our cabin. And the dogs are having a fit. There's somebody coming to the cabin, and they pull up. And this fella and this gal get out of the car. The fella's kind of a short, pudgy fella. He's about as big around as he is tall. And he's wearing a dress shirt with a tie, and dress slacks, dress shoes. Real business looking, right? Well, and the gal, she's wearing a skirt outfit, and she's got these, I mean, just the purest white, brand new pair of Adidas tennis shoes on, right? Well, they stood out like a sore thumb. I mean, you could have seen them from 10 miles away in that backcountry. Well, they come up to the house, and they asked if they could talk with us. And I said, well, who are you? And they said, well, we're with the Department of Health and Human Services, and we received a concern from a local person that you have your kids up here in terrible, extreme conditions, and we're here to check on your children. I said, well, first of all, you don't have to check on my children, because I know where all 4 of them are, so you don't need to check on them. But I said, you're more than welcome to come in and visit if you'd like. So brought them in the cabin, introduced them to the wife, and the kids were in the cabin, and sat them down at the table, and I offered them coffee, and she declined. And the chubby fella said, oh, sure, I'll have a cup of coffee. So we give him a good cup of camp-style coffee, good strong stuff. And They proceeded to tell us why they were there, and that if they did not feel that the conditions were appropriate for children, that they may have to take steps to have us get those children off that mountain and living in proper conditions. And I said, well, I don't believe that's going to happen, but I'll give you your 5 minutes. Go ahead and tell me what your concerns are. Well, that gal started out right away with, your kids aren't going to school. I said, oh, they aren't, are they? I said, that's what they were doing when you got here. I said, they were doing their school lessons. I said, it costs me almost $1,000 per child per year for their curriculum. I said, they've got a better curriculum than the public school can provide. I said, and so I showed them the curriculum, showed them everything they had, everything they had to do, and they talked to the kids about school and how they're getting educated. And we would take them to town so that they had the socialization and they had the contact with other children and had them involved in events and things. So they said, well, okay, we can accept that. That's good. We'll go with that. And I said, what's your next concern? That gal right away again. Well, we were told you don't have any running water, and you cannot be raising children without running water. I said, well, I have running water. And she goes, well, I need you to show me your running water. So I turned around, looked over my shoulder, and I said, hey, running water, come here. You got to meet this lady. My oldest boy, he jumped right up, comes running right up, and he goes, yeah, Dad, you need me to go get water? And I looked at her, and I got a big smile on my face, and I said, this is running water. We renamed them. She didn't appreciate it. The chubby fella got a big kick out of it. And she goes, I'm not joking. And I said, I'm not joking either. And we showed her, I had made a yoke, and he could carry, he was, I believe, 8.5 years old at the time, 8.5, 9 years old. And he could carry 2 gallons of water easily, one on each end of that yoke. And behind us, behind our cabin, was a beautiful artesian spring. And that's where we got our water from. I said, so when we need running water, all you got to do is call out running water, and he'll be right here, and he'll go run and get you some water. Well, she said, that's not appropriate. That is not running water. Her partner, he said, well, I think we're going to differ on that. He says, in my report, I'm going to say that they've met their needs for providing water. He said, I agree with him that they are meeting the needs for as far as water is concerned. So she didn't like that. Well, then her next concern was, you don't have indoor toilet facilities. And I said, well, we sure do. If you look in the corner over here in the cabin, see that big tarped area there? There's a corner that's all tarped off. I said, behind that tarp, there's a 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat on it. And I said, and that's our restroom. And she goes, but you don't have a flushing toilet. And I go, well, yes, I do. She said, I'd like to see that. And I said, well, here we go again. Hey, flushing toilet, come here. Here comes my oldest son again. And she goes, now you have to be joking. And my oldest son, as bright as he was, he goes, no, ma'am. My dad says that's my new middle name. I'm running water flushing toilet. I said, when you need to flush the toilet, just yell for flushing toilet. He grabbed that bucket and he takes it out back, and we have a pit about 300 yards from the cabin that gets put in and is composted. I said, and it's very sanitary. That bucket gets washed out daily. It's very sanitary. And you're free to go look at it. You're free to use it if you'd like. We're not shy. We don't care if somebody else uses our toilet. Oh, she just didn't like that at all. That heavy-set little chubby fella, he was laughing so hard, and he was enjoying it. And then he goes, sir, he says, I have a question. I said, yeah, go ahead. I said, she's throwing them at us. You might as well throw one at us, too. He says, well, mine's probably pretty easy, but could I get another cup of coffee? I couldn't believe it. He just wanted another cup of coffee. So Yeah, I poured him another cup of coffee. Well, she was so upset with us being in the back country and raising our children that way. And she said, I have no choice but to issue a negative report on what I found here. And I said, you issue any kind of report you want. But I said, you aren't going to interfere with our lifestyle. You're not going to be taking my children from me. And I said, you're just not even being realistic. I said, this is a life's experience that I think more people in our world should allow their children to experience. And they'll take this with them the rest of their lives. I said, and I love my children to death. I'd die for them. So I surely wouldn't put them in harm's way. I said, so I really think you wasted your time, and you got nicks and rock scratches in your pretty little car. I think you got your white Adidas dirty for nothing. You wasted your time coming up here, except I think the chubby fella enjoys the coffee. And I looked at him and I said, and by the way, you're welcome anytime you want to come up and have a cup of coffee with me. Come on up and we'll sit and we'll spin a few tales and have some good old camp coffee. And so they left. They headed down the mountain. He shook my hand and he was all smiley when they left. She wouldn't even say goodbye, and off they went. Well, it was about, I'd say 2 weeks went by. We get a letter. I went down to town on one of my work days, went downtown, checked the mail, and there's a letter, and it's from their department. And it's from him, not from her. I thought for sure it'd be coming from her. I read that letter, and I was just overjoyed. Here, this fella, there's no way this fella, he told me flat out, he said, I couldn't do this. He says, I could not do this. I'd love to be able to do it, but I couldn't do it. He had challenged her to the point where they had an internal review between the two of them with their supervisors, and the whole department came to the conclusion that he was right, that it was a learning experience for our family. It was not placing anybody at risk, and that he thought it was a very healthy exercise in the facts and the truth of life. So, bravo, bravo. So many in this world don't want us out here, don't want us living this way. I tell them, well, boo-hoo. I'm not hurting you. Please don't try to hurt me or anybody of like mind. We only want to do our thing and enjoy life and enjoy the outdoors. So this is Sty North with another Sty story for you. Thanks for watching. Jim and Rory say hello. We love the fact that you folks are subscribing. Leave comments, and we'll get another video out to you as soon as we can. Checking out from here at Sty's Porch. You all have a nice day.